The Elias Makos Show.
The voice of Montreal goes where you go.
Listen live at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
I'm scared out of my britches. About 45 minutes ago, I was bringing in some groceries into my Pine Avenue apartment, and I opened the front door to wheel in the chariot, and she skipped out, and I didn't see her because she's so small. Yeah, not a child, but my little dog, who's a very calm Italian Bichon named Hannah Banana.
That's an hour ago on the Elias Makos Show, where Judith, a listener of CJAD 800, gave us a call because her dog was missing. There was the story, and now we've got an update. Judith is back on the line. Judith, darling, give me some good news.
Unbelievable, and what a community effort, because not only did my janitors and I climb and my neighbors climb the stairs, and there's 16 flights here, but we went to all of the stairwells and the gym and the pool and everything twice, and we didn't find her. And then some of my neighbors started to come over to visit me to see that I was calm and waiting and hopeful. And when the last neighbor came from downstairs with her baby, because she was fearful for me and Hannah just trotted in. We don't know where she came from. It's a mystery, because we went all over the building. And when Anika came with Emma, I'm so happy. I'm kind of sitting on my lap right now, and she's saying, thank you, Maxime, and thank you, Elias, for being there when we needed you.
Judith, let me tell you something. The text line is loving it as well. Yay, Hannah Banana has been found. So our listeners have been following this action here, and I'm really happy. A harrowing hour for you, but I'm really happy that Hannah Banana has found her owner.
Absolutely. Actually, it was from 9:20 or so, because that's when I came back from in the lift from the grocery store. But I really think that we are so lucky to have CJAD, so very lucky in this community. I haven't even started to post my French messages and call the newspapers and the French stations, and she was walking in like nothing happened.
Judith, you are a sweetheart. Thank you for thinking of us. We want to be there for our listeners, and we're happy you're there for us and you're listening. Thanks so much, Judith.
Absolutely, every day. Thank you so much, Elias.
Okay.
Have a great weekend.
Yes, you too. You and Hannah Banana have a splendid one. So there you go. We've got an update on Hannah Banana. She has been found. Eurovision, ladies and gentlemen, the Eurovision Song Contest has been one of the biggest television events in the world for decades, drawing hundreds of millions of viewers, launched the careers of artists like Celine Dion and ABBA, to name a couple. And while Canada has always watched from afar, that is about to change. For the first time ever, Canada will officially participate in the Eurovision Song Contest. They'll make their debut next year. So let's talk about Eurovision, if this is really a big deal. Dean Vuletic joins us on the line, historian of contemporary Europe with a specialty in Eurovision. Dean, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much for having me.
When you hear Canada's joining Eurovision, what do you think?
Well, I'm actually Australian, so Australia debuted in 2015. For me, it's a bit like deja vu.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's the thing, right? It's called Eurovision. I guess you don't necessarily need to be European to be involved in Eurovision. Let's talk a bit about that.
It is preferable. Historically, most of the countries in Eurovision have been European. The organizer of Eurovision is called the European Broadcasting Union. It's an association of national public service television broadcasters, and it's dominated, obviously, by European countries, although historically its membership has also included countries from the Mediterranean region in North Africa and the Middle East, which is why Israel has been in Eurovision since 1973. So let's say it's a broader definition of Europe that still doesn't extend as far as Australia and Canada.
And listen, I think music and TV competitions, they go hand in hand. Here on this side of the world in North America, we've got, American Idol, Canadian Idol. We've had those shows here. But Eurovision, it far predates any of the more recent stuff here. So let's talk about the history here. How did Eurovision even come about?
Well, I did a lot of research on this. I wrote a book on the history of Eurovision, and I can tell you it really started out as a technical experiment in the 1950s, at a time when television services were being born in Europe. The European Broadcasting Union wanted to test whether it could broadcast live simultaneously across different countries the same television show. So
Wow.
Eurovision was really part of its experiments to achieve television broadcasting across different European countries.
Has it always been a success?
Not necessarily. I mean, it did quickly establish itself as one of the most popular television programs in Europe. But there have been times in its history when the organizer, the European Broadcasting Union, has wondered whether it is something that should continue. And this was especially the case in the late 1960s when Eurovision was being criticized by various quarters for costing too much, for having mediocre music, or for having rigged voting. So there was a lot of defending that needed to be done of Eurovision, and that's when the European Broadcasting Union started to do its first surveys of the viewing audiences across Europe, and it found that it was a very popular program, and it thought that the program shouldn't be stopped, but that the rules should be changed to modernize the show and to try to attract younger audiences.
And how have they done it that? Like what are the ratings for Eurovision? And again, this is not like just once a year, right? This is a weekly thing. Maybe for our listeners who really don't know how it works, why don't you fill us in?
This is an annual event, so these days it's usually held in May, and the ratings differ across different European countries and in different time periods. You know, some countries experience periods when their publics are disillusioned with their national performances in Eurovision, and they stop watching it in such high numbers. But then when they win or they start doing well, then there is this new wave of popularity for Eurovision in a certain country. I saw that in Austria, for example. That's where I did my research, where I wrote my book at the University of Vienna. When I arrived in 2013, the Austrians were disillusioned. They thought, we're never going to win Eurovision. The last time they had won was back in 1966. And then in 2014, a bearded drag queen called Conchita Wurst won for Austria, and everything changed. Eurovision became the fashion of the moment in Austria. This year, Eurovision was also staged in Vienna after Austria won last year. So, you can see the popularity for the contest changing among different national audiences. But the audiences that seem to have the highest followings, consistently high, are in Northern Europe. Iceland, Sweden, Norway, especially Iceland. Over 95% of the national viewing audience is glued to Eurovision when it's on.
You're kidding. 95% of people in Iceland are watching when that thing is on?
Yes.
Wow.
In Sweden, it's in the 80s. So, yeah, you see the highest viewing figures in Northern Europe.
Well, yeah, listen, you've literally written the book on Eurovision. What do you think is most fascinating about the competition?
The fact that it has endured for 70 years. I mentioned that there was that crisis in the late 1960s when they wondered whether the show should go on. And the contest has always faced political scandals, political controversies. This year, we saw the largest political boycott ever of the contest, 5 countries not participating because of Israel's inclusion in the contest. So Eurovision has faced so many political, social, technological changes in Europe, yet it has managed to outlive them all. And it has constantly managed to provide meaning to the European audience. And I think that's why people still love to watch Eurovision, because it's not like the contest that you mentioned, American Idol or
Canadian Idol here, yeah.
And we have the European versions as well in every country. It's a showcase of cultural diversity because, you have 30, 35, 40, depending on the year, entries representing different countries. And each of those entries has something to say about the country that it comes from. And that's why people love to watch Eurovision, because it is a showcase of diversity and a reflection of the political and social zeitgeist in Europe.
Dean, I got to run. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Montreal time. And maybe before the next competition launches next year, we can catch up again. Thanks so much.
I'd love to. Good luck to Canada.
Okay, thank you. That's Dean Vuletic, historian of contemporary Europe with a specialty, literally wrote the book on Eurovision. When we return on the Elias Makos Show, from music competitions to sports competitions, it's Canada versus Morocco tomorrow, round of 16 FIFA World Cup. Will get you ready for the game.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts,
the world's biggest stage,
and breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup, the knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio. The Elias Makos Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
All right, let's talk about the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Canada's team in action tomorrow, 1 p.m. as they face Morocco in the round of 16. This is the furthest Canada has ever been in the World Cup. Now, the last two times these two teams met was in the group stage of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Morocco won the match 2-1. So let's get you primed for the rematch and the rest of this tournament with Greg Sutton, former goalkeeper for Canada's men's soccer team and TSN 690 soccer analyst. Greg, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Before I get to Canada-Morocco, can I just ask you about the last night's action? Like around the office here, and I just see people talking like crazy about Portugal, Croatia. Your take on what seemingly was a fantastic match?
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, it was a game that everybody was on the edge of their seats, and extremely much at the end of the game when it seemingly looked like Croatia got the tying goal to what we expected was going to be sent into extra time, or added time. But it was incredible. It was a game where I think it really symbolizes what this whole World Cup has been about, with so many exciting endings and drama-filled games. But two teams that show just a lot of quality and class, and that's when this is what this World Cup has been all about. I mean, we just seen it every single day. We see another drama-filled game. The
Croatian fans feel robbed. Do you agree with their assessment?
Well, I mean, look, the letter of the law, according to FIFA, with the offside rule, I mean, it was a difficult one to kind of stomach. I could understand if you're a Croatian fan, because essentially, they're looking at a slight little brush of the Croatian, Croatian hair, seemingly putting the Croatian player offside. I mean, it was very minimal, if at all, and so I can understand it. But that's essentially what happened. That put that Croatian player off in an offside position. So it's tough. It was tough for Croatian teams or Croatian fans to stomach that one, I can imagine. But we've seen a lot of technology and develop over the years in soccer, and in a lot of sports for that matter, but I think especially in soccer. And so, it's a game of inches and a game of centimeters, and essentially that's what it came down to last night.
And what does it make you feel like when you see Ronaldo scoring his first World Cup knockout goal in Toronto? And of course, so many of the games happening in this country, Toronto and Vancouver. How does that make you feel when you think about the popularity of this sport in this country?
Yeah, exciting. I mean, I was a player in that stadium when it was first built, and when I've been lucky to play for TFC in that first year when they became a Major League Soccer franchise in Toronto, and the stadium was a smaller version of itself now, of course. But to see that kind of excitement in that venue now, is a testament to where our game has gone in this country. And so that's the exciting part about it. And I think, this event is going to just spur on so many more youth excitement and development in this country. And so, this has been a blessing for soccer fans. And of course, the development, which can only assume is going to continually increase, with this being a major stamp in the timeline of Canadian soccer history.
Greg, tomorrow, 1 p.m., Canada, Morocco. How does Canada pull it off? How do they win this one?
Oof. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one. He's going to have to be creative, and Jesse Marsh, the head coach for Canada, and how he puts his team forth. And I think one of the things that he has had a challenge with is really being, say, successful with putting a starting 11 forward, where it seemingly seems that most games the substitutions have made the biggest difference. But I think in a game like this, you need to have an 11 that are going to come out and have the success that you're expecting right from the start. Because if you put yourself behind the 8 ball against a team like Morocco, it'll be a very more difficult climb. And so I think that's going to be the big challenge for Jesse Marsh. Will we see some, unique changes in the lineup? And Alphonso Davies perhaps starting? That's a question mark I think that people are going to have. We obviously know he's been kind of a question mark this whole tournament, but he finally saw some minutes in the last game. But this is the kind of player that you would like to see from the beginning, because even if, things were to happen, he was come off the bench, you don't know what the scoreline would be at that point, right? And so I think it would be exciting to have him start this game, and even if he can only go for a half, so be it. But they're going to have to be at their best, because this is a team that's really, really strong.
With Greg Sutton talking about Canada's game against Morocco at the World Cup tomorrow at 1 p.m. Game is going to be on CTV, TSN, RDS, and the radio broadcast on TSN 690. Greg, we've seen the ratings in this country. They've been monster for Canada's games. That also means that there are a lot of people that haven't watched a soccer game all year who are watching for the first time, or maybe their second time all year, right? For those fans, for our CJAD listeners who will be watching tomorrow because they know the hype is so strong, how should they be watching? What should they be looking out for if they're going to park themselves on the couch to avoid the heat wave?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I get from this team, this tournament, is the immense just understanding of how important they are to this country and the game itself, and symbolizes Canadians in the sense that, they're going to put their hard hats on, they're going to go to work. It's not always going to look pretty, but their determination, their desire, their will has shown through. And Jesse Marsh, albeit he's an American, but he symbolizes Canada too, very much so. And I think this team takes on their coach in that essence. But it's going to be so exciting, and I think even if you're just a casual fan, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, because I think this has just been a monumental time in our country's history in soccer, and the hype is real. I mean, we've seen the watch parties where we've never seen watch parties like this before for any sport, even hockey. It's incredible, and it's actually impressed me more than I expected, and so I think that's just a testament to the way this team has grown and the players that have shown their exceptional behaviors.
Greg, I don't know at what point you'll be doing this, but maybe it's 15 minutes in, maybe it's at the hydration break or at halftime. What will you be looking at? What will to give an assessment early on in the match where you say to yourself, "Oh, Canada's doing well"? How will you make a determination early on if Canada's got it or not?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the midfield battle, and I say that because one of the areas that we can be a bit subject in, and part and parcel because of the injury to Ismail Kone, which was a tough injury to fathom. We've been a bit. That's probably our kind of weakest position as far as depth goes. And so I think if we're going to be able to be on the ball in the midfield and be able to connect some passes through our midfielders to our attacking players from our defenders, I think that'll be important in this whole scheme of this game. And then lastly will just be how well we can take our chances. They're not going to get a lot of chances, Canada, and so they're going to have to be more clinical around goal, and it's something that they can be better in this tournament. They haven't been great. And so I think it's really becomes in those two areas. And of course, as I said before, the best players, the Alphonso Davies, the Jonathan David, they need to be at their best. The Max Crepeau, a Montreal-born kid, he has to be excellent in goal. And those players, if they are, they're going to give themselves a chance.
How would you describe the prospects of a Canadian victory? Would unlikely, need a miracle, good chance? How do you describe those odds?
I think there's a legitimate chance, and I don't think it's going to be by luck. I think it's going to come down to being very good defensively. I don't think this is going to be a 4-3 game. I think this is going to be a game where, if Canada is to be able to advance, it might happen in even potentially penalties. because that's the way these games can end in some days. But I think if they're good defensively and they take their chances, if they have a couple, and they finish them, I think, this team, let's not forget, this team has been up against some big opponents over the last couple of years, in Argentina twice, and where they lost to them only 2-0 in the Copa America tournament, and even France before that, when Jesse Marsch first took over this team. And France fielded one of their best lineups at that time, and they tied 0-0 in that game. And I think this is a better team now than where they were 2 years ago. So, look, I mean, this is going to be, a tough hill to climb. I mean, this is the sixth ranked team in the world they're going up against, and Canada's sitting at 30th in the FIFA ranking. So, they're the underdogs, but that, I think, plays into their favor.
Sometimes you want to be the underdog. We'll be watching the games taking place in Houston. Greg, enjoy it. Thanks for hopping on today.
My pleasure. Take time.
Greg Sutton there, former goalkeeper for Canada's soccer team and TSN 690 soccer analyst. 1 p.m. It's on CTV, TSN, RDS, and of course TSN 690 if you're in your car and want to listen to the radio broadcast. When we return on the Elias Makos Show, we're going to switch gears and we'll take a behind-the-scenes look at the egg freezing business. For many women, this has been presented as a way to take control of their reproductive future, but we're going to take a closer look at egg freezing when we return.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts,
World's biggest stage,
and breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup, the knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio.
Missed something?
Subscribe to the Elias Makos Show podcast to catch up.
Available on iHeartRadio and wherever you get your podcasts.
A new investigation published in the National Post by the Investigative Journalism Bureau asks whether the rapidly growing egg freezing industry is giving women the full picture. We'll take a closer look next.
Listen, wherever, whenever, on your radio. Online at CJAD800.com. On your smart speaker.
Playing CJAD.
Or your phone. Through the iHeartRadio app. Where and when you need us. This is News Talk Radio. CJAD 800. Time is valuable. Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Makos Show on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
All right, welcome back to the Elias Makos Show. Now, for many women, egg freezing has been presented as a way to take control of their reproductive future. It's often marketed as an empowering option that allows women to delay having children while pursuing careers, education, or simply waiting until the timing is right. But a new investigation published in the National Post by the Investigative Journalism Bureau asks whether the rapidly growing egg freezing industry is giving women the full picture. Let's find out more. Wendy-Ann Clarke is a reporter at the Investigative Journalism Bureau, and she joins us over the Zoom line. Wendy-Ann, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
What prompted you to investigate, look into Canada's egg freezing industry?
Great question. So it really started with a personal story. So it was sometime during the pandemic. We were socially isolated, and I started hearing more and more about egg freezing. It would be ads on social media or celebrities talking about taking control of their fertility future through egg freezing. And it was just everywhere, this message that women finally had more time. Technology had finally given women more time. And what's interesting about me is that I always felt extremely at peace with my fertility. If I had children, wonderful. But if my life took another path, I trusted that there was purpose in that as well. But then I started hearing people close to me in my friend group started talking about going to consultations at these fertility clinics to look at egg freezing. And suddenly something that I never, ever worried about became something that I felt almost irresponsible for ignoring. So I started looking into it. I looked at the costs. I tried to look at the success rates. Like, what are the chances that a baby is born from frozen eggs? And the more that I dug, the more that I saw that the answer is really difficult to find. And what I did find challenged just about everything that I thought I knew about egg freezing. And so that sort of curiosity is what eventually became this investigation 5-part series called Fertility Inc.
Now, I got to ask you if that, marketing, social media ads, social pressure, all that kind of stuff, did that end up getting to you? Did you end up going down this path?
No, when I started to look into it, and my answer became very quick, but I kept thinking about the people that would come behind me that maybe didn't have the skill set to do the diving that I was able to do. So that eventually became Fertility Inc. So I pitched the story to my team at the Investigative Journalism Bureau, and myself and my colleagues, Lori Colbert and Miraline Catul. We conducted an 8-month deep dive into this industry. And as part of that, we analyzed 42 clinic websites that we identified as marketing egg freezing in this country. So that represents about 110 locations across the nation.
And what did you, sorry, finish your thought. Sorry about that.
Oh, I'm assuming you're going to ask me what we found, but what we found is not at all clinics, but certainly the wide majority. We found that clinics appear to overstate what egg freezing can realistically offer, suggesting a level of certainty and control over your future fertility that just is not supported by the data. So I can tell you, we saw a lot of messaging around put your biological clock on pause. We repeatedly saw words like egg freezing will give you flexibility, peace of mind. We even found a reference to a guaranteed baby program. And what we know about egg freezing is that egg freezing does not guarantee a baby. Yeah. It's a good option for some women, but this sort of widespread marketing of egg freezing as this magic bullet solution to solve problems around fertility and relationships and careers and family planning is really far-fetched. And that's what the experts that we spoke to were telling us.
And I imagine also on top of that, right, you have women who are getting into an office at one of these clinics. And then you've got, a doctor, sort of authority figure. And they're saying, it's one thing if you're seeing it scrolling on social media. It's another thing if a doctor is saying this to you to your face. Imagine that adds another part of this story.
Yeah, for sure. And so what's interesting is Canadian women have invested about $120 million in egg freezing, we estimate, from 2013 to 2023. 96% of those eggs have never been used. So what we do find is that, and this is consistent, so there's a huge study out of UCLA that came out last year that found only 5.7% of women that froze their eggs, I believe it was between 2014 and 2016 in America, actually came back to use them. So within 5 to 7 years. So that's a reasonable time frame to expect that they might come back. So the uptake is quite low, but the marketing, because for example, for the 42 clinics that we did look at, 3 of them were sort of the traditional models that were based at a hospital. And so that sort of format, we found that the clinic advertising is a little bit more balanced. But about 17 we found were owned by the physicians themselves, and 19 more had ties to private equity. Wow. So there is a significant, we can say, financial incentive here. And when we think about it, the market for egg freezing compared to IVF, you're looking at people that have trouble having children. We're talking about people that need to have donor sperm or donor eggs to have children. But in egg freezing, the market for egg freezing is women in their 20s and 30s that are interested in that think they want to have children. So it's a very, very large market, and it costs up to $20,000 when we factor in the actual procedure and the cost of medication. So it's a really big ticket item with a very low uptake. So I mean, there is definitely a financial incentive here. As one doctor we spoke to put it, when patients become customers, there's a conflict of interest, and
we're with Wendy-Ann Clarke, a reporter at the Investigative Journalism Bureau, 5-part series that Wendy-Ann has done called Fertility Inc., looking at egg freezing. Wendy-Ann, let me just throw this at you, because I bet you there are people who have been able to have a kid thanks to this. And maybe, obviously you've presented some statistics that it's not the likely scenario, but could the case be made as an insurance policy? It's costly, but there are women that have children today because of this.
Okay, just to be clear, this investigation and the work that we've done here, our finding is not that people shouldn't freeze their eggs. What we are saying is that people need the amount of information necessary to make an informed decision. And right now, because of the patchwork sort of regulatory framework that we're dealing with in Canada, they do not have that option. So of the 4.1 million babies that were born in Canada between 2013 and 2023, just 70 of them were born of frozen eggs.
Wow.
So,
okay. Wow.
So yes, there are 70 babies in this world that wouldn't be here without egg freezing. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. But this sort of like widespread marketing is this something that everybody can take advantage of. And I think the influence of celebrities is quite significant, right? So, we have Paris Hilton and, Priyanka Chopra and Serena Williams who said that they've frozen their eggs and had children through frozen eggs. But we don't know how much money they're spending. The average woman that's doing this, and that was so interesting in our investigation, we spoke to 30 women who've either frozen their eggs or are seriously considering it. And we found that these were not women of significant means. These were, everyday women that were cleaning out their savings. They were cashing their RSPs. They were borrowing money from family members. They were agreeing to do clinic marketing in exchange for lower fees and things like that. So these women were just believed in this as an insurance policy in the sense that it almost guarantees a child. And one woman that we spoke to, who was actually from Montreal, froze her eggs at age 36 in 2022. Came back a short while later to use them. None of them turned into an embryo.
Oh,
and
wow.
she called it a big slap in the face, right?
Wow.
And ended up having a baby naturally at 40 a few years later. So, and I'm not obviously a happy ending to that story, but she didn't regret investing in fertility. That's the thing. She said that spent the money, but I probably would have spent it differently. I might have tried IVF sooner. I might have had a really, really, candid conversation with my partner at the time about starting right away. I might have chosen a different path had I had the information. And she just felt like she didn't get that. So that's what we're talking about here, getting the information that they need.
Wendy-Ann, great journalism here. Thank you for sharing part of the story. I'm going to direct all of our listeners here. National Post has published this series that you've done with your colleagues at the Investigative Journalism Bureau called Fertility Inc., the 5-part series, and I'll direct our listeners to go seek it out so they can read more. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That is Wendy-Ann Clarke. When we return on the Elias Makos Show, Joanne Vrakas, host of Weekends with Joanne Vrakas, going to join us in studio. Big wedding that may come as early as today. Getting some news that Taylor Swift could tie the knot today in New York City. I'll get Joanne's take on one aspect of that wedding that not a lot of people are talking about. We'll do that and more just after.
Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Makos Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
All right, Joanne Vrakas has moseyed on in. Yeah, there are wine glasses here. I don't know why, Joanne, but there
is
are.
my mic on? What have you been? Are you sauced?
Where is the wine? No, you know what? And
I got my Timmy's here.
I don't drink, Joanne.
Yeah.
Honestly, what did I drink yesterday? Non-alcoholic Corona. That's what I...
Friend of Corona.
Hey, Joanne.
Yes.
Big wedding this weekend.
Yes, supposedly. I think this is all a lie.
They say that the wedding could be happening now, in fact, that they're doing it today, the actual tying of the knot.
And then the rest of it is just the partus? What is that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Big party tomorrow. Now, let me tell you a few things here.
Hit me.
How do marriages do if you get married at Madison Square Garden?
Do we have numbers on this?
This would be the third big celebrity wedding.
Who are the others?
So, you get a load of this.
Okay.
In 1976, 50 years ago.
Can't you just say 1976? You made it sound
last
like...
century. You have to do the whole year.
Made it sound like colonial times.
So,
in 1976.
So Sly Stone, not Sylvester Stallone. Remember Sly and the Family Stone?
From the Family Stone.
So Sly Stone married model actress Kathy Silva.
Yeah.
They were divorced a few months later. So they got married, a big whole spiel at Madison Square Garden.
They had enough friends and family to fill up MSG?
Didn't work out.
Ah, there you go.
And then, 1984.
Stop it.
Get a load of this. You're never going to guess who got married. Give me a guess. 1984, who gets married at Madison Square Garden? Big celebrity couple.
It's not Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth is in the name, but you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh.
Hurley?
No.
Showgirls?
No, she's too young. That was she too young.
Elizabeth.
No, I'm gonna do a voice here.
Yeah.
Okay. Elizabeth. Do you know what I'm doing? Elizabeth. You getting this?
I'm hearing something.
It's Randy Macho Man Savage.
Oh my, that's not
and
Macho Man.
Elizabeth.
You sound like what's his name from that cartoon in the 70s. No. That's your Macho Man?
Yeah, it was my Macho Man. Randy Macho Man Savage, Miss Elizabeth, excuse me, got married in 94, okay? And 91, they renewed their vows in 91 at MSG, but then got divorced.
So they married in 84, renewed in 91, and divorced.
Divorced a year later after 91.
So this is like the Kardashian curse, the MSG curse. You get married in Madison Square Garden and it's
I don't know.
Straight to divorce.
What do you think of Taylor and what's his face?
The thing is, and this is what gets me in trouble with my cousin's daughters. They're in their 20s, both of them professionals. One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, and they worship Taylor Swift, right? They think that this is the biggest like moment and sort of like her angst. You know, I'm a 90s teenager. We had like Fiona Apple and Hole, Courtney Love, Tori Amos. Those were like angsty songs.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift sounds like she's like, "Dear diary, he broke my heart.
Totally.
And he likes a girl with blonde hair." I mean, it's great, but like, I feel like we are 90s teens. We had way more angst.
Yeah.
We smelled of teen spirit, literally.
Oh, you brought up some great names. Tori Amos.
Remember Tori Amos?
Courtney, I mean, Hole. Let me tell you something.
Hole was amazing.
What
Remember Fiona Apple, too?
Oh.
She was gorgeous.
What happened to her?
She had mental health issues. I'm going to say allegedly in case she's listening and she sues me. But no, it was an angstier time. So am I into it? If she makes people happy, great.
Yeah.
I don't understand why her tickets cost $10,000.
Because it's the market rate, Joanne. People want to see this person.
Well, I just don't think then music should be a touch more democratic.
There's an old saying that I have around here: every story is a local story if you try hard enough.
Yes.
So the Taylor Swift, what's his face wedding?
Travis Kelce.
Kelsey Travis.
Travis Kelce is someone else, though.
Oh, it's Travis Kelce.
Yes.
But I'm just doing it for fun.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Travis Kelce.
Yes.
They're getting married, and it's a local story because Reuters snapped a photo of the caterers and the food going into MSG for the wedding. And what did they snap? They snapped cases of Ile de la Madeleine lobster going into MSG.
We made it.
So Quebec is in the wedding.
It's only big.
I know.
Only big.
Now, what else would you bring? What else should be part of Taylor Swift's wedding that is Quebecois?
Maple syrup.
Yeah. Oh, good pick.
Because you can use it like in the dessert type situation, and Quebec maple syrup is the best.
Meeker Guerrier this morning at 9:05 said Quebec strawberries. That was the clutch pick.
They don't travel well. That's not a good thing. No,
really?
They should stay local. If we really wanted to represent Quebec, we can send an orange cone. But what that would do in context of a wedding,
if you're looking at the images, tons of orange cones actually outside of MSG because they've blocked off a ton of streets.
You don't think it's a bit ridiculous to do that there? It's absurd, no?
Well, I tell you what.
I eloped, so I don't know.
If you're Taylor Swift, you make one phone call to James Dolan, whatever his name is, the guy that runs MSG,
I don't know.
and you say, "Hey, I want MSG," and they're like, "Yes." So I mean, when you're
what
that level,
cost? Do you think? What are they paying? They're paying for the.
No, I think it's like, Taylor, you've done so much for our industry. I bet you it's a freebie.
It's not sponsored by MSG.
I bet you it's a freebie.
I saw a good boxing match there one time. It was close. I got hit with some sweat.
Are you serious?
Yeah. My husband, when he turned 50, the trip was to go to New York City to watch a boxing match there.
That's a pugilism.
Is it?
Right?
Nah. Pugilism. Look at you with your $3 words.
Because in like 1872.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough.
What's coming up on your show this week?
So this is a super fun story. Tomorrow is America Day.
Yes.
And I've been following the FIFA stories of all of these like fans coming in from all around the world and the host cities that got the different countries. And I've been, like millions of people, following what's been going on in the city of Lawrence, Kansas that no one's ever heard of.
And the Algerians, right?
We have somebody from the Chamber of Commerce on from Lawrence, Kansas. I liked one of the stories. I said, I love this story. They were so surprised that anyone up north was paying attention. I said, you are showing really the world what Americans are really all about, right? Because everyone in that town started like learning how to dance the dabka. They were eating the Algerian food. They were they did
the real America.
The real America. And so we're going to be chatting with them. We'll be talking to the food professor about how El Nino, remember El Nino?
Yes.
The return is going to be affecting food prices.
Yes.
Why and how our cars are listening to us. So
Indeed.
if you've ever done the hanky-panky in a newer car, don't.
They got speakers. They got microphones.
They're listening to everyone.
They got cameras, for crying out loud.
Inside the car?
Oh, yeah.
There's a camera inside
my
the car?
car has a camera to make sure I'm looking at the road when it's on full self-driving mode.
And then what does it do if you're not?
And I got to say, it's got technology. It's using radar and the cameras to make sure that you don't leave a kid in the back.
Oh.
A lot of good reasons for that, but I get what you're saying. Privacy concerns.
Privacy concerns. And so much more. And we're just going to have a great time.
3 great hours of radio on both Saturday and Sunday. That's Joanne Vrakas.
Should we get married at MSG?
Us? You're already married, for crying
both
out
of
loud.
us are married, doofus.
6 to 9 weekends with Joanne Vrakas. We're going to wrap up the Elias Makos Show next with the story of Hannah Banana.
I'm scared out of my britches. About 45 minutes ago, I was bringing in some groceries into my Pine Avenue apartment, and I opened the front door to wheel in the chariot, and she skipped out, and I didn't see her because she's so small. Yeah, not a child, but my little dog, who's a very calm Italian Bichon named Hannah Banana. Unbelievable, and what a community effort, because we went all over the building, and when Anika came with Emma, I'm so happy. I'm Hannah's sitting on my lap right now, and she's saying, thank you, Maxime, and thank you, Elias.
Judith lost Hannah Banana, her lovely Italian Bichon, this morning about 9:20. By 10 o'clock, we had the All Points Bulletin out on CJAD, and by the end of the show, she had been found. That's the story of Judith and Hannah Banana. Thank you for listening to just a wonderful week here on the Elias Makos Show. And behind the scenes, Maxim Kadot and Andrew Malik putting it all together. Thanks so much, fellas. Andrew and for Jay Farrar this week. Just splendid, guys. We'll be back at it on Monday. Have a great weekend.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts.
World's biggest stage.
And breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup. The knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the Globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio.